Next week is going to be a big one for Apple. In this episode of the Macworld Podcast, we talk about all the things we can expect. iOS 18.1, new M4 Max, and more. Stick around and find out what's coming up. Welcome to the Macworld Podcast. I'm Roman Loyal, here with Jason Cross.
Good morning.
And Michael Simon.
Hello, sir.
The first major update to iOS 18 is coming up next week, and previews of the new hearing aid feature for the AirPods Pro 2. The Verge and the Wall Street Journal mentioned that the feature will include iOS 18.1, and Apple told them that the update will be available next week. So we're going to talk about that. But first, we're going to talk about some news that came out the morning of when we were recording this on Tuesday. So there's some news that came out about the M4 Mac release.
News with air quotes.
Yeah, that's true.
Updated rumors.
Yeah,
yes.
right.
Yes. So Mark Gurman from Bloomberg has reported that next week we're going to see the M4 Max being released. And he has reported in the past that these M4 Max will include the MacBook Pro, a iMac, and a new redesigned Mac Mini.
Mm-hmm.
All with M4 chips.
Yeah. It's still kind of unclear whether there's going to be like a big event. He keeps saying there will be online video.
So last year they had the Scary Fast event the day before Halloween at 8 o'clock at night Eastern time. And it was this kind of random little, they really leaned into the Halloween stuff, but it didn't need it. Like it was just a way for Apple to get some attention. It was an M3 chip. It was the MacBook Pros, and it was great. It was fine, but it was still what they call
an Apple special.
It was an event. Yeah, right.
Which is streaming, as opposed to what they do sometimes, which is they just release a new product. There's a press release. There's a new fancy glossy page on the site. There may be
like
marketing video to go with that, and there's a fancy marketing video to go with that. That's full of CG, but it's not Tim Cook out there saying, "We think you're going to love it."
Right. Right. We've seen that before too. I mean, it looks like by this point. So we're recording this on Tuesday, October 22nd. You would think if they're going to have an event, it's either next Monday or next Tuesday. They could announce it theoretically a couple days before if they're not going to get people to go out to Apple Park. If it's just an online thing, they can kind of do it whenever they want. It seemed as though we would probably know by now. Gurman has kind of couched all this by saying that they're not going to have people gather in Apple Park, and it makes me believe that there's going to be a bunch of press releases. But there's a lot of stuff. We got the M4 chip for Mac, which is different than the M4 chip for the iPad, the MacBook Pro, the iPad, the Mac Mini. Like that's a stretch of announcements. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll just get them all in one day, and they'll just pop up on Apple's website.
Like you said, the M4, it's not really different than the one that's in the iPad.
No, but they need to talk about what it means for the Mac.
They don't talk about speeds and feeds and all. So that could just be like, oh, it's so powerful or whatever. The only one that's really new would be this new Mac Mini.
The Mac Mini, yeah.
Like actually looks new, has a different design, stuff like that. It's weird because even when they don't have people out to Apple Park and stuff, if it's one of those Apple special event videos that has the whole thing, they do announce them, and they have like a marketing
and it's like a week before
tagline that everyone tries to decipher, and that's always at least a week before, right? It would have popped up by now, you would think,
today or yesterday.
So, and we haven't seen it, so it's weird. However they choose to announce it, that's what's coming. It's apparently coming with a set of new accessories. Things have been found in sort of the release candidate codes.
Which they kind of have to do now. That's all that's left that has Lightning at this point, or maybe there's one other thing. There's not much.
So it's new Magic Keyboard, trackpad, and mouse. We're not expecting redesigns. Like the mouse is still going to not be the beautifulest, worst mouse ever. Like it doesn't fit your hand. It doesn't have tactile buttons. It's just like swipe somewhere on the surface and you'll know what things they're doing, and still charge on the bottom. But it'll be USB-C. Like that's kind of what's expected. It'd be great if we were all wrong about that, at least for the mouse. But I think they sell a lot more trackpads than mice. I don't think they care that much.
Probably.
Buy yourself a Logitech mouse, people. But yeah, so they've got to update their keyboards and stuff like that, and this is their chance to do that.
So the other major Mac change we could hear about is there have been rumors about the base M4 MacBook Pro coming with 16 gigabytes of memory instead of 8, and having
it has to, right?
Yeah, and having 3 Thunderbolt ports instead of 2.
Just 2 years late on that RAM, at least. Yeah.
So it creates a little bit more of a separation between that laptop and the MacBook Air.
That's actually, so Roman wrote about this about a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Like, if that's true, if the rumors are true, if the base model for $15.99, they keep the same price, has 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabytes of storage, the same display, the ProMotion display, and 3 Thunderbolt ports, and comes in space black, that's pretty damn good for $15.99, and you can probably get it for less within a couple months on Amazon. Like, that's a legitimately good entry-level Pro machine for Apple standards, at least.
Well, that's the $15.99 price point is the key, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that they'll leave it there, because if they don't, then they got to change everything. Because the
next one up is $17.99?
It's 19, but it's the it's the Pro, the M3 Pro processor. So you're getting, a bit more speed, quite a bit more speed.
And those started, the Pro processors they never came with 8 gigs.
No.
To begin with. They always came with
16. It was just that base M3.
It came with 18 now, 16 before,
They need to do this at least on the Pro models, because they're...
Yeah, that's what separates it from the Air,
Well, it separates it, that's the consumer view, but just their Xcode AI code generation requires 16 gigs. All the other consumer AI stuff requires 8, and it runs on anything from an M1. But if you want to use if you're writing code and you want to use their fancy new Xcode AI code generation they talked about, you need 16. So that's now kind of the table stakes for any Pro Mac, I think. But just not to mention that it should have always been like for a while now. They're finally almost feel bad giving them credit for finally having 16 gigs in the Pro MacBook, starting at that. Still, if you're thinking about buying a Mac, do not buy one.
Yeah, wait a week.
Right, don't buy them now. Whatever you do, don't buy one now.
Yeah, anything but like a Mac Studio is getting completely upended by this.
Yeah, the M4 is significantly faster, the extra RAM in that one. The Mac Mini is getting a redesign, like definitely.
Yeah, you're getting USB-C accessories and such. Just do not buy a Mac right now.
Yeah. It seems like next week is going to be a big week for Mac releases.
Yeah, so I thought they would have started this week and have like something come out today, something come out tomorrow, something come out next Tuesday, because they do that sometimes. We got the the iPad Mini last week, but we didn't. So it could be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like something different comes out each of those days if there is no event.
Yeah, they've kind of done that before too.
They've done that before, yeah.
Monday is going to be when all the operating systems drop, because they said the 28th. So
Mark Gurman reported that there will be a hands-on for special invitees in Los Angeles on October 30th, which is a Wednesday.
That's Wednesday, yeah. So it could be Tuesday.
So Tuesday or Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are the 3 Macs, and then they do the things on Wednesday. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. But Jason mentioned the OS updates and iOS. We know also that iOS 18.1 is coming on Monday. That also includes iPad OS and Mac OS 15.1,
tvOS and watchOS.
Yeah.
Vision OS.
Yes. And the reason why this update's kind of a landmark update is because it will include the first wave of Apple Intelligence features.
Yep.
The features that
actively promoting.
Yes.
As existing now on television for the last month.
Yeah. Before we get into those, I've got our release notes right here, but let's talk about what it gives to everyone first, because it is also, it's going to be available for all the iPhones and stuff, and it's not just Apple Intelligence stuff. There are a couple other things worth note. First of all, obviously, security updates. They're not listed on the website yet. They usually wait till the wide release before they publish what the security updates are, but there will be a bunch of security updates. That's normal.
Yep.
Probably the big one for people who don't have at least an iPhone 15 Pro or an iPhone 16, so the people who aren't getting Apple Intelligence stuff, is the phone call recording stuff. That's going to be available to everyone. I don't know, everyone, at least every iPhone 13 and up or something like that. But you call recording and transcriptions that go in notes is available to many iPhones. The summary of the call transcripts, where it automatically creates a summary of it, that's an AI feature just for the new phones. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. Built-in call recording is awesome. I've tried it out. It's really neat. It just plays a quick beeps and plays a quick calls recorded to everybody, and then you get an actual little recording and transcript, which is not terribly accurate, but you can tell what went on in your Notes app automatically. It's really cool. There's a couple of camera things, like this is just for the new phones, but they made the camera control button able to switch to the front camera. It would normally just switch between the lenses on the back. And they added spatial photo capture to the iPhone 15 Pros. It used to just do spatial video.
Yeah.
The big one, and there's a bunch of tiny stuff like RCS business accounts and stuff like that. There's some new tweaks to Control Center, like you can get your individual Wi-Fi connection button instead of having the big connectivity button, The big one, though, is the AirPods update. All the hearing stuff for AirPods Pro 2.
AirPods Pro 2, yeah.
Yeah. Whether you've got the Lightning or the USB-C version, you'll need a firmware update for that. And those get pushed out kind of randomly. There's no way to force it. We've got stuff on the site that says how to check what your firmware update is, but there'll be a new firmware update for that. So you need the OS update and a firmware update. Then you can take a hearing test. You can use hearing aid features. Hearing protection features are on by default. And then there's sort of a media assist feature that, like, even if your hearing isn't bad and you need a hearing aid for voice, it will tune music and video playback from your device to your exact sort of hearing loss as it's measured. That can make a big difference. So that's a really big deal feature for everyone with AirPods Pro 2. And then, of course, like you said, the first wave of AI stuff, which I have a feeling is not going to go over well.
Is it safe to say this is the most anticipated .1 iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS release of all time?
It's got to be, just because they just launched a product that is all about these features, and this is the first of these features. I don't think your average everyday user even has any clue what these things are. They see a commercial, they think if I buy an iPhone 16, I get that. They don't know that there's a software update. They don't know when it comes. Most people just see their phone, just weeks from now will pop up a thing saying, hey, update to iOS 18.1. Those aren't necessarily Macworld Podcast listeners, but I think the problem can be boiled down to the idea that these AI features are not what people think of when they think of AI.
Yeah, it's the generative stuff, which still is a couple weeks away.
Yeah, I mean, these are generative AI features, but they're not the ones that people think of. People think of the Chat GPT style. I typed a short prompt and I got paragraphs of text back. Like, write me a letter asking my boss for a raise, keep it formal, blah, and then you get like a big letter, right? Like this doesn't do that. What they do is you wrote a bunch of text and you select it and it can change it to be more professional or more casual. Like it's just not, that's not a highly anticipated feature from people. Yeah, and they also think of photos, like because AI photos are all over social media and stuff, and everybody sees anything that looks fake and goes, "Oh, that's AI" and stuff. And there's no AI photo stuff in this either, other than the like cleanup tool in the Photos app. So, yeah, I think people are going to go like, "That's it." Summarizes my notifications.
Yeah, I mean, it's not though, because
it's not.
And Apple has done a terrible job of letting people know this who aren't writing for Macworld, but. It's all this stuff is rolling out over the next 6 months. Most people do not know that. They don't know that. Like Jason said, probably 30% of people don't even realize they don't have Apple Intelligence yet. Like they bought the phone, they assume it's on there. Maybe they haven't found it yet. Maybe it hasn't done something yet, but they don't realize that it's a software update. It's not actually available yet.
I've seen a couple of social media posts where people say something disparaging about Apple Intelligence, and it's a Siri suggestion, which has been a part of iOS for years. It's just Siri suggesting an app or a shortcut, right? And they're just like, so that's a problem. And they're really stepping in it with Siri because
that's been heavily promoted.
And up until now, that's been the Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant. Those have been what people think of as AI, like these things.
Yeah.
And Siri has gone through a rough few years of people complaining about it. They're finally coming out with a big update, but this isn't it. But it looks like it is.
Right.
Right? So
it looks like it, and they've been talking about, like, there's a whole commercial now where they do the thing and the phone glows and it's like, well, all right, great, but that's all it's new. That's all that's new is the interface.
Right. Yes. Yep. It glows around the screen. It's nice that you can still
it looks pretty.
Use the screen while it glows. Like you can swipe and scroll, which you couldn't do before. You can type to Siri by double tapping at the bottom, which you couldn't do easily before. And it's better at understanding your prompts, like when you and change your mind in the middle of talking. But it's not smarter. It doesn't do anything new yet.
Right.
That stuff you see on the commercial where it kind of knows that you were texting this guy before and what you talked about and stuff, that sort of semantic thing, like that's all coming months from now.
Yeah, next year. It's not even the next update. It's several months from now.
Yeah, it's like in March or something.
Yeah, I don't know how Apple allowed that marketing to happen now. If they pushed that in February, fine.
Right.
But that's how they sold the phone.
Yeah.
And it's like, people don't understand that this is coming. And the phone, honestly, the commercial doesn't even really make it clear that it's coming later. It's probably in fine print at the bottom, but it's not like in your face, like, hey, this is not available right now.
So anyone with an iPhone 15 Pro or any of the new iPhone 16s is going to get the software update sometime in the next couple of weeks when it prompts them. Yeah. And Siri's going to immediately look different. And it sounds a little different because this is also the new voice model. So it has different inflection a little bit. But it's going to be just as dumb as before, and it's going to really make people angry because they're going to think this is the best Apple can do. They're going to think this is the big update, and it's terrible. It just
There'll be something of a placebo effect at the start where people will say, oh, wow, Siri's so much smarter, and then they realize, like, it actually isn't.
You know what? I've seen it go the other way because I've seen it where they didn't change Siri, but they changed the way it looked or sounded in some way.
Right, which they've done before,
And people think it's worse.
Yeah,
they changed it and it's worse.
Yeah.
It's the same, like the placebo effect in reverse kind of thing. So that's all happening, and that's not going to be good. The cleanup tool, I think people are going to love. It's not always perfect. It's not always spot on, but I think it's a neat. If they can find it in editing a photo and hit edit, and find the cleanup tool and stuff. Like the idea that it just makes something glow and you just tap it and it vanishes it. It's not like other companies haven't had this before, but I think people are going to love that. This is not the set of AI features that is going to make everybody go like, oh, wow, Apple Intelligence is so awesome. It's going to be at least the next one when they get the image generation and they can have something fun to play with.
Right. Which should be coming before the end of the year. Which is good.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah.
So if you get an iPhone for Christmas or over the holidays or something like that, we'll be able to be part of it with an update.
The other thing that's supposed to be coming before the end of the year is integration with ChatGPT, where if the Apple Intelligence can't answer a question for you, it can send your question to ChatGPT. Or if you have a photo and you say like, "What's this?" or whatever, and it doesn't have that kind of general knowledge to run it on your device, it can send that image to ChatGPT and get your answer. I think that's going to be really useful for people. It's not going to be any login involved. It's going to be just that one piece of information anonymized. It's not like it's sending your whole photo library to OpenAI or anything like that. So I think people are going to like that, use that. But again, that's at least a couple months away.
Yeah.
So what you guys are saying is that as soon as iOS 18.1 drops, you can take your time installing it.
I mean, I think it's a big deal. I think it's interesting. I think that people should play with the new Apple Intelligence stuff and get to know it as much as they can. But yeah, it's not. This is all Apple self-inflicted, because had they not promoted the heck out of this alongside the iPhone 16 and the iPad Mini next week. So talk about that. So iPad Mini comes out tomorrow. It's both 3 years late and a week early, because they can't get Apple Intelligence till next Monday.
Right.
Like the timing is all messed up with this stuff. It's not so much that the product is bad. It's that they're overselling it and selling it in all the wrong ways, or marketing it in all the wrong ways.
Yeah, they're
which is
sort
very
of marketing it.
Uncharacteristic for Apple.
Yeah, they're marketing it as though all these future software updates are real now, and that's going to disappoint people, I think.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's a fine update. I just think it's not going to people aren't going to understand that this is just like the first of many, and it's not everything.
And they're going to say, like, when you install it, it's going to be like Apple Intelligence is here, like it's a thing.
Yeah, no, it pops up cards every time you do
but
stuff.
But it also isn't really.
Yeah. One of the nicest features of Apple Intelligence, and I don't know how many people are going to find this or use it, but the search in photos is really good.
Okay.
Like the ability to just use natural language to describe a photo that you're looking for as specifically as you want, and it will pull that photo from however many years ago from your photo library. It's really neat. Like you don't have to like think in your brain about what keywords the system wants. You could just say that picture of Mike when he wore the blue hat. And we were at a baseball game.
That's cool.
Last year, and it will just, here's those things.
So maybe you don't need to rush out to install 18.1 for the Apple Intelligence features.
No,
but
definitely, I'd go get it. I'd get it. Get it on Monday. Download
get it.
it
Just
Monday. Install it.
Like anyone who's listening.
Obviously, if you have an iPhone 16, if you don't, you're still getting other features that we talked about a couple minutes ago. But if you have an iPhone 16, get it. Get it earlier than you normally might. You don't need to drag your feet on it.
Yeah, I mean, just temper your expectations.
Right.
Get it for the security updates alone. Just this is not the big update that you want it to be. This is
right.
Well, if you do have an iPhone 16, there might be another reason why you want to install the update as soon as possible. It apparently includes a fix for a freeze and restart bug that some users are experiencing with the iPhone 16. I've been using an iPhone 16 Plus. I had one weird instance where it's just suddenly restarted. But other than that,
I had
it's
one
been
where I
pretty
couldn't,
slowly.
like I was trying to do something on the screen and I needed to do it relatively quickly and it just wouldn't respond. So it is a thing that's fairly widespread.
I had an app freeze up, but that happens sometimes anyways. And the system didn't freeze up. I could close the app and relaunch it. And I just thought like, oh, well, app bugs like that happen all the time. It didn't occur to me that it might be a system problem.
It's what's weird about it is that it took Apple so long to fix it, because this has been almost since day one. We've read about these reports. They came out with the 0.01 update. Usually that's when they do all the house cleaning stuff. So perhaps it was a bigger issue than we knew. But they have resolved it in 18.1. So you got a couple of days. If you're experiencing it, it'll be over by Monday. It's
really interesting to watch Apple scramble to quickly release software, right?
Yeah.
Like this whole thing is because they're used to being in the driver's seat where it's just like, we can wait till next year's thing to bring out this one. But now they can't. Now they're like, wow, we can't wait till iPhone 17 for any of this. So like their whole mad scramble to quickly get AI stuff built into their OS and all the developer hooks for it and everything else, and get it out while developing and shipping products. And the products can't be late. They can't delay the products by a couple of months. The stock will go crazy. So like this whole mad scramble within Apple to like, oh crap, Gen AI, like it's been amazing to watch.
If you take a step back, I mean, they're the only company that has this many operating systems to update every single year, and now they're doing all this AI stuff too. Like, it's pretty remarkable. They take a lot of criticism for things, and they should when things go wrong. But the fact that they're able to do any of this on the scale that they have to do it, on the time frame that they have to do it, is it's really impressive to watch.
Yeah.
But when things don't work for a month, that's also a problem. Since macOS 15.1 comes out Monday, do you think that we'll see, I don't know, the MacBook Pro or something on Monday, and then the OS update with it, or are they going to just leave that like this is Apple Intelligence's day, and we'll get to the hardware on Tuesday?
I don't think that there's necessarily any reason that they would need to like line those up, right? Because it's not like you can
it's not
get the Mac
Friday
that day.
Anyway.
It's going to ship till Friday anyway. It's going to come with 18.1, and if anything, they want to give a little space between them. Like, it already seems like very close together, but
I
don't know.
I wonder if this was their
whole release timetable has been so weird.
It is, and it seems like now everything's crammed at the end of October. Plus, they have their earnings next Thursday, so everything's got to be done before that too.
Yeah,
like it's an abnormally cramped.
Even though
we're already for an October,
we're already well into the quarter. Like the quarter ended on
This is
at the end of September, so this all still counts in the next quarter anyway. But they want these things released before they have to have their before they have to have their earnings call and answer questions.
They talk about it.
Yeah,
it's another promotional way.
Yeah, and they can't say they'll say our holiday lineup is set rather than we have great products coming down the line. Like, they can't kind of straddle that. Like, so my guess is before Thursday everything will be out one way or the other.
Yeah.
By the end of next week, there's nothing left this year other than like the software update we just talked about, the next round of AI stuff. There's no product expected.
No.
Rumored in any way to come out. There's not we already know there's not new AirPods Max coming or anything like that. So I think we're done for the year after next week.
After this,
just software. This the regular march of software updates.
Yep.
You don't think they'll come up with the surprise new 11th gen iPad?
It'll be an airport. It'll be another. They're going back to making routers.
They'll make another router.
Hey, I would buy that in a second. I still have my time machine that I use. I love that thing.
Or a new Apple TV.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of thing that they could drop in December. Just be like, look, Apple TV 4K 3 or whatever,
It's a great holiday present. Kind of thing,
But I heard about that. There's no HomePod on the way.
Apple TV, they had the HomePod Mini. What's it been like? 4 years or something.
Well, yeah,
3-4 years.
They just added a
new
color, and that's about all they did.
Midnight replaced space gray, which you can't tell the difference unless you put them side by side.
Right.
And it's been a while since the Mini, and then the HomePod was, I think, last January or something when they got that second edition for out of the blue.
Yep.
But I don't think they'll update either one of those until Apple Intelligence is able to be run on them. Because
it seems like the next step for HomePod is whatever this HomePod with a screen new thing that they're working on is. Right. And then hopefully also they'll be updating cheaper HomePods so that you get real Apple Intelligence features, or at least doing something with software where it's like, well, we're going to send the request to your phone so your phone can do it. And then this will be the speaker for it. It's going to be really weird. There'll be once Apple Intelligence gets its new Siri update next spring, and you have all that semantic context and all that other kind of stuff. It's going to be really weird when your HomePod is like a dumber Siri. Like it's like a worse Siri.
Yeah, I wonder how many people use HomePod for Siri stuff other than playing music. I wonder what
I use mine for. I never use it for playing music. Yeah.
Really?
It's like not a great music playing. Like if you have, like I have a decent Sonos soundbar and stuff like that. Like that sounds way better for playing music.
Well, sure, that's for sure. But if I'm in my kitchen or something, I'll play something on the Mini. Interesting.
No, all I used it for is adding stuff to my grocery list, asking a general question, how old is this actor, whatever, blah blah blah. Which it has gotten much better at in the last couple of years. The general knowledge questions are not. I'm getting a lot fewer of those like I don't know. I can search on your phone if you want. Like we can check your phone for like a web result like that. I'm getting a lot less of that and a lot more where it just gives me an answer and says that this is from whatever. Half of my Siri search questions are whether or not my dog can eat something. Like, to be fair, can dogs have broccoli?
Can they?
But, yeah, actually, broccoli's good for them.
Yeah,
but there's a lot they can't, and it's not that you wouldn't know. Like raisins, like don't let your dog have a raisin.
Interesting.
So. That's most of what I use my HomePod for. It's just a Siri thing.
Well, next week's going to be a big week, so I think you already know the content for next week's episode. We're going to be reviewing whatever. We'll be going over whatever Apple has announced.
Whatever Apple comes out with.
The new Mac.
So we record on Tuesday. We might have to wait a day, depending on the schedule.
So,
we'll see.
Yeah, depending when they drop whatever Mac stuff they drop. Yeah. But the iOS stuff, we've been talking about it for weeks. The beta's been out for a long time. Yeah. That's well-trodden ground. Go ahead and get the update if you got it. If you have something that can run Apple Intelligence, get it. And just expect the notification updates are neat. Cleanup's cool, but don't, temper your expectations for Apple Intelligence. This is just the first salvo of many, several.
That does it for this episode of the Macworld Podcast, episode 906. Thanks to Jason Cross.
Thank you.
Thanks to Michael Simon.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to you, the audience. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to the Macworld Podcast in the podcast app, on Spotify, through any other podcast app, or on the new Macworld Podcast channel on YouTube, where you can see a video version of this podcast. Just search for Macworld Podcast on YouTube. Do you have any comments or questions? Send us an email at podcast@macworld.com, or contact us through X, that's at Macworld, or on Threads, that's at Macworld_HQ, or on the Macworld Facebook page. Join us in the next episode of the Macworld Podcast as we talk about the latest in the world of Apple. See you next time.